My dad called me crying last Thursday, and I still haven't been able to sleep properly since. Not because I feel guilty exactly, but because I keep running the conversation back and replaying every word trying to figure out if I said something unforgivable or just something true. Some background. I'm 31. I've been working since I was 16, paid my own way through community college, then transferred, then worked nights while finishing my degree. My dad is 61 and has worked his whole life too, mostly in construction, which destroyed his knees and his back and probably a few other things he won't talk about. He's not a bad guy. He showed up to things when I was a kid. He coached my little league team one season, even though he clearly hated it. I don't have a horror story about him, but he also spent money the way some people breathe. New trucks every few years, a boat we used maybe 4 times, a timeshare in Myrtle Beach that became a running joke in our family until it became a real problem. He and my mom divorced when I was 19, and I remember him telling me then that he was going to get his finances together, start fresh, build something. That was 12 years ago. Last year, he mentioned kind of casually that he didn't have much saved for retirement. I nodded and moved on because I didn't want to get into it. A few months later, he mentioned it again, less casually. Then my aunt called me, which was the real warning sign, because my aunt only calls when the family has decided something and elected her to deliver the message. She told me that my dad was in a bad spot, that his knees were getting worse, and he probably only had a couple more years of physical work left in him, and that the family thought it would be meaningful if I could help support him once he couldn't work anymore. She used the word meaningful. I didn't say anything definitive on that call. I told her I'd think about it. I thought about it for 3 months. I talked to my girlfriend about it, and she was diplomatic, but I could see what she actually thought. I thought about what it would mean to send my dad a few $100s a month indefinitely, or more, which is what it would realistically become. I thought about the boat. I know that sounds cold when I type it out. I know a boat from 15 years ago shouldn't be the thing that determines whether I help my father in old age. But it wasn't just the boat, it was the pattern the boat was part of. When my dad called on Thursday, he got emotional pretty quickly. He said he was scared. He said his body was breaking down and he didn't know what he was going to do, and that he'd always assumed his family would be there for him. He said I was his son. He said it like that was the whole argument, which I understand, but it also landed on me like something I was supposed to just absorb without response. And I said it. I told him that I loved him, but that I'd spent my entire adult life building financial stability from nothing, with no help, and that I couldn't commit to being his retirement plan. I told him I'd help him look into assistance programs, help him figure out what options he had, sit down with him and go through all of it. But I couldn't promise him money every month for the rest of his life when I was still paying off my own debt and trying to build something for myself. He got very quiet, that kind of quiet that's worse than yelling. Then he said he guessed he just didn't mean as much to me as he thought he did, and he got off the phone. My uncle texted me that night and called me selfish. My aunt sent a longer message about family obligation and sacrifice, and how these things come back around. My younger sister, who still lives close to my dad, hasn't said anything to me directly, but I know she's upset because she went silent on a group chat we're usually active in. I've been sitting with this for days. I do feel something when I think about my dad being scared and in pain, and not knowing how his future looks. That's real. He's still my dad, and I don't want him to suffer. But I also feel something else when I imagine rearranging my entire financial life around a situation I had no part in creating, out of obligation I never agreed to, watching my own plans compress and maybe disappear. My girlfriend keeps telling me I made a reasonable decision, and that I said it kindly. Maybe she's right, but the quiet on that phone call keeps coming back to me. The way he said I guessed, like he'd had a version of me in his head for 31 years, and I'd finally shown him the real one. I don't know if that version is worse or just more honest. My friends are split. 2 of them said they would have done the same thing. One of them told me he thinks I'll regret it when my dad is gone, which is the kind of thing you say when you want someone to feel it. I'm not asking anyone to solve this. I just need to know if what I did was wrong.